Jeffers. Here. Joseph Gilroy.
Here.
Kenneth Mark. Here. Richard Wyckoff. Warren Pena.
Here.
Dallas Smith. English West Home.
Here.
David Stickley. Here. Madam Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the invocation, Mr. Smith, followed by the pledge.
Father God, we come tonight first giving you all glory, honor, and praise. Father God, we thank you for another day, for a good portion of health and strength. Now, Father God, we ask that you be a part of this meeting, oh Father God. Clear our minds, oh Father God, that we may make sound decisions. Father God, we ask it all in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think the first item on our agenda is regarding the budget workshop. Mr. Baptiste. Mr. Baptiste. Thank you.
The last board meeting, we did submit the budget to the city manager. We submitted with two changes. One of the change the board had requested was for us to put an additional $12,000 in education and training. If you look at the last sheet, we took $15,000 from contingency and moved it the $12,000 to education and training. We also increased the electrical costs. We had it budgeted at $30,000. We increased it to $43,000. So we reduced your contingency by $15,000 and professional service by $10,000. The rest of the budget is as we presented to you guys last time. I think some of the board members that requested a budget workshop, we here to answer any question y'all have.
Any questions from the board regarding the budget? Any comments? Mr. Marks?
Just a question. There was mention in the last meeting of the fund balance. Is that not listed as a part of the budget?
As I could give you a revenue, I could submit that to you. I did not submit a revenue. Normally, I give you guys a revenue that shows your fund balance, your funds balance. We strictly dealt with the budget, but your fund balance, I think, was around 6.9 million, something like that. From the last time I looked at it, we've been focused on the budget, but the fund balance is. We give it to you guys every month. If you look at the previous month, give it.
The reason I asked that question because I raised a question in the last meeting about the funds that were left over. Mm-hmm. Those were being rolled over into the fund balances.
Sure.
It was the explanation that was given. That's why I was wanting to see, once they roll over, will we see the actual fund balance? That's
correct. If you look at the year-to-date balance on next to the last column, 16, 17, this is the remaining money that we have for the rest of the year. Right. That money that we do not spend, we have already budgeted for next year. Everything that we do not spend in this year goes into our fund balance.
Goes into the fund balance. So
yes.
That would be in addition to what's shown here.
No, sir. It would be in addition to what's currently in your fund balance.
Right.
Right. Okay. I don't have your revenue account. I usually give you all your revenue account, but it's not here today.
Okay.
Mr. Baptiste, could you give us a brief explanation of what that fund balance is used for?
When we budget from the fund balance. You know, all our money is put in the fund balance. When we get sales tax every month from the state controller, that money goes into the fund balance. When we get rent, it goes into all our money goes into our fund balance. And when we budget from the fund balance up. It's like your checking account, you're just using your checking account to pay your bills.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Smith.
At the prior meeting, Rachel, she came up and she stated that we had like 12.1 or 12.2 million. So explain that to me.
Yes, she said when you look at all the money, it's about 12, but when you look at what you budget, next year you're budgeting 5.9 million. When you reduce that, take it from your fund balance, then you're down to $6.7 million.
So what you're saying that those monies is allocated? Because
No, it's not
I'm
allocated.
not understanding that.
No, the fund balance is a pot of money. It's a box of money that you have, okay? From the fund balance, your fund balance about 9, 10, I don't have the revenue account and I don't want to give a number out here, but we budget from that fund balance and the remaining stay in the fund balance. I think after budgeting, you're going to have around $5-6 million in your fund balance. That's just sitting there. Just sitting there. If for some reason you have a project that you did not budget for, then I would have to go to the board, and this board would say yea or nay. They could go to the fund balance and get the money, but we have to go to this board and then go to the council to get the money from the fund balance. Cannot go into the fund balance. The only money we could spend next year is what we budgeted.
So from now, could we have that along with the regular budget for the year?
I give that to you on a monthly basis. I normally give y'all a revenue account. That revenue show y'all fund balance. Every month I give you guys, I did not get, because we've been dealing with the budget, but every month when we give you financial, you have a revenue sheet, and that revenue sheet shows your fund balance.
And the only change in the fund balance would be any interest or anything that we accrued, correct? During the year, other than after
correct.
budgeting?
That's
Okay.
correct. Yes, it's only, well, it changed because your sales tax revenue goes into that fund balance.
I'm sorry,
Your
yes.
rent revenue goes into that fund balance. Everything all the cash that you receive, all the cash asset goes into that fund balance.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Do we need a motion on this since it's already
All right,
been?
it's strictly to close it, I guess. I don't know, Guy. You need a motion?
If this is. Okay, all right, thank you. Minutes from the regular meeting on July 10th. All of us received copies of the minutes from the July 10th meeting. May I have a motion, please?
So move. Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes from the regular meeting July 10th. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Petitions and communications presentations, Patriot Security Update on the security system.
We did request Patriot to come over today. They worked just about all day, and my understanding is the system is working as of today.
The system, the security system that we had installed is complete, but they finished it this afternoon, so we didn't engage it. We need to get with the chamber and go over the use of the system.
Thank you. Communications, Mr. Baptiste?
Yes, ma'am. In your packet, you have first communication is from the Chamber of Commerce for their membership luncheon Tuesday, August 22nd. In the past, we have gone per person. So any individual that would like to attend this membership luncheon, please contact Joni, and she'll take care of you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That is on the 22nd, so I guess 7 days prior to, Johnny.
I'll send you guys out an email in the morning polling, see who wants to go, and then y'all can return email if you wish to go.
Thank you.
Number B is Port Arthur Greater Minority Chamber of Commerce will receive a application for membership from the Port Arthur Greater Minority Chamber of Commerce. Is attached at the application I submitted to you guys. My recommendation is, you know, the chamber they work with business. You know, we need to work with the chamber at whatever level you guys think.
The comments, questions about the?
I had a question.
Yes.
What is the 2.5 and 5K?
I think that's just something written up there.
I don't think that's an official.
I don't think it's in reference
Okay.
to this.
Madam Chairman, if the board wish, I did see earlier Mr. Mills. Mr. Mills, the director of the chamber, certainly welcome him here tonight.
Thank you for being here. And if you'd like to make any comments?
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, board members, director. Certainly an opportunity that I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's a wonderful occasion for us to be kicking off the Port Arthur Greater Minority Chamber of Commerce. It's certainly something that we've been talked about for a number of years as it relates to working with small businesses, minority businesses, and also help them to develop into larger businesses, especially with all the industry and all the expansions that's planned. It's going to be critical that we do things to be able to set our citizens up for success and to have opportunity to be employed or actually get contracting opportunities. So that's going to be key for us, and this is one of the reasons why we're really trying to start it off very slow, so we're not moving real fast. And so we're still getting board members on board, but we're kicking it off because membership drives are going to be critical for us, and we do plan to have workshops that's going to be coming up. In fact, probably something in September. I'll get you that information once we get that confirmed. Well, it'd be basically an introduction to the, to the chamber for businesses in the community. What you see before you basically is actually an application for membership, and so we are actually going to be talking to a number of the other entities such as the city, and they're participating as well. We're going through the vendors list process that the city has set up. So we're making strides in getting that done as well. So we want to bring that forth to you, for a commitment to join the chamber as you've done to the other chambers. So having said that, I certainly appreciate the opportunity. If you have any questions.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Thank you so much for your comments.
No problem. I appreciate it. If you do, I believe most of you have my cards. Please call me.
Okay. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Are you wanting us to determine our membership level now if we want to join the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions, thoughts?
I'm going to make a motion to do the platinum level membership,
Can we
$575.
do the platinum level with it says 26 to 100 employees, so I don't know what that means on the application. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Do we qualify for platinum?
Or you qualify for whatever you want to give them. We just need to.
Well, I just noticed that it said membership type on the application, 26 to 100.
And if you'll notice at the bottom of that information, it says membership fees for organization of 101 more employees is negotiable. And so we can actually negotiate on any amount. And I think what you may have seen on the top of your paper, that $2,500. So we're looking at really whatever the pleasure of the board. And we certainly hope that it would be consistent with your other chambers that you've participated with. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion?
I'll go ahead and rescind it.
It's a motion on the floor for the platinum level corporation membership.
No, I guess I can rescind my motion, right?
You can rescind your
Yes,
motion.
I guess I'll go ahead and do that, just in case other board members would want to, get a higher membership.
Any other?
I'm just thinking that we have here at the EDC, what, 6 employees? Is it 6 or 7? Counting you, Mr. Executive Director.
Yeah, we have 5 employees here, but I think as Mr. Mills said, and, we represent a whole community here.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to, that's my opinion. I don't
Okay.
think we need to look at the number of people we have here. I don't think y'all should take that in consideration when y'all are making y'all decision.
Okay.
Make a motion that we agree on the platinum level.
I second.
It's a motion and a second to join the Port Arthur Greater Minority Chamber of Commerce at the Platinum Level Corporation sponsorship. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, the third request is from Gulf Coast Health Center. They asked for a sponsorship for a Help Family Festival. After reading this thing, I don't think it qualified, but a portion of their request, they don't have a page number, but there is a booth that we could purchase. They do expect to have a lot of folks out there. I'm asking the board to purchase a booth with these folks so that we can have our housing program manager out there to recruit folks while people being served and given information on this health information. But the program we cannot sponsor. It doesn't meet the guidelines.
Correct.
The booth would be fine.
But the booth, we said, because we have a 4B project that is the affordable housing for which we are still attempting to locate Port Arthur residents that might qualify, there's at least the possibility that you could have Ms. Ballou and one or more of her team members out there, because again, this is just another manner by which you can advertise the program in order to try to find qualifying families that might be able to meet the program parameters for the affordable housing. So we can't support the program under 4A, but under 4B, our limited right is through the affordable housing program. Again, we are still trying to find a qualifying family for purchase of homes in that area.
Also publicize our training activities that we have for CDL and other training programs for
Correct.
people. That's a great place to do that.
Yes, sir. It is going to be an aggregation of a lot of people. I mean, this is an area very close to your chairman. So yes, you're going to have a lot of foot traffic out there. So certainly the 4B program, and if there's job training that they want to present information as well, that's wonderful as well.
Commotion. Can we get the booth?
Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve getting a booth at the Gulf Coast Health Center to display information about the programs and services that we offer, as well as our housing project. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Are there any speakers, Mr. Baptiste?
Madam Chairman, on the next. Your non-consent, the first item is a letter of intent. I do have Mr. Rozelle here. If Mr. Rozelle would like to make any statement for the board, certainly would appreciate it.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman, board members. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you. We have submitted a letter of intent. I'm here on behalf of Motion Industries, Drago Supply Division. Some of you may have heard of Motion. A lot of you may not have, but I'm sure Drago Supply is probably a recognizable name. Motion Industries acquired Drago in 2008. We have been a regional industrial supplier here over 86 years, founded here in Port Arthur. Our letter of intent and phase one application involves the consolidation of the Groves, Texas Motion Industries branch with the Drago Port Arthur branch at our current location on Houston Avenue, Drago Supply's flagship branch location. It's real early in the stages. We've been talking with Floyd for a number of months, knowing that this was in the works, or at least the desire to consolidate and put both branches under the same roof. We're evaluating many alternatives to that. There's a lot of synergies involved in, as you can imagine, doing so. I'm a Port Arthur boy. I come from this area and have a lot of history, and so does Drago. Been in the community for a long time, and I want to see it stay here. And so I convinced our branch manager and his upline management to give the Port Arthur branch location a shot at keeping Drago there and expanding it substantially by adding the Groves facility to its footprint. So we are in the early stages in talking with both Guy Goodson and Floyd. I understand it's somewhat of a unique situation in our case, and perhaps one that has not been addressed by this board before. So we're just anxious to maybe get down the road with a pencil and pad and sit down with the staff and talk about whether something can be worked out that fits for both us and the board. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. Any questions from the board members?
No, the NAICS code falls directly within the allowed for a proposed project, if it's the pleasure of the board. Obviously, this is the application stage. It's simply, and this is a matter that you can move to executive session on discussion of our incentives, but this is, again, the point where the board could just decide, or it can defer till after executive session if he wants to allow Mr. Baptiste and legal counsel and others to proceed with developing the application for a possible incentive agreement.
Make a motion that we allow them to proceed with the application process.
I second.
It's been moved and second to allow the staff to move forward with the letter of intent for Motion Industries. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Rozelle.
Thank you.
We really want to keep y'all here. We really do.
Thank you.
Yeah. We were at speakers, but we voted on on item number 1. So are there any other speakers, Mr. Baptiste? Okay. All right, we'll move on to agenda item non-consent agenda item number 2 to discuss for possible consideration entering into an economic incentive and loan agreement with KLV Ventures.
I would request we go into executive session with this.
Okay, certainly. We'll move agenda item number 2 to executive session. Agenda item number 3, to discuss for possible consideration entering into a month-to-month rental agreement with support operation services for office space on the first floor.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, board members, you guys have an agreement for a month-to-month lease agreement with support operation services. We use the same contract, is Kate here, that we use with AAY, is that right, guy? AAY?
Yes, sir.
Right. It's on a month-to-month, so we're asking you guys to approve the contract on a month-to-month for the first space down on the first floor.
What do they do?
I think I saw the gentleman here. I think it's, where is the gentleman? Is he here? Yeah, he is.
Martin.
Can you come forward, sir?
Tell us about your business.
All right, how y'all doing this evening?
Tough.
Okay, my name is Randy Martin. I'm a retired military. Just moved back to the city of Port Arthur from the city of Biloxi. And my company was actually started from Nashville, Mississippi. No, excuse me, Nashville, Tennessee, where I was also stationed at. And what the company does is we're a general contracting company. We do a number of things from facility management to life insurance. I mean, it's transportation. I just met with a guy from the Port of Port Arthur who's going to assist me in putting on vehicles with the Port of Port Arthur, transporting dirt with the dump trucks from the Port of Port Arthur. You know, so it's a wide array of different things that we do. I've already hired an administrative assistant to help me, so the company is really on its way.
It's on the first floor?
On your agenda, we're going to ask you guys to try to move forward with build out of part of the second floor. So that's why we have it on a month-to-month base right now.
And how many employees are you going to, how many people physically going to be working in here in this building? How many people physically are going to be working in this building?
Oh, it's going to be 2.
That's enough.
I myself and my administrative assistant.
That's enough room for y'all? That
Well, for this point in
Right
time,
now?
this is what they can afford me. I mean, we was looking at the offices upstairs, but things have changed. So at this point in time, this is what they have to offer, so that's what I have to settle with.
Other questions? Okay, may I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve a lease agreement, a rental agreement for month to month for support operation services. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Number 4, to discuss for possible consideration the build out of south end of the second floor of 501 Proctor.
Madam Chairman, board members, in your package, we gave you guys a diagram or drawing of what we're looking at trying to do on the second floor. On the south end, you see there's 3 offices, that individual offices. We're asking you guys if we're going to get a price on it. I'm going to come back with that price, but I'm asking you guys to move forward in trying to get an architect and get it. We have a contractor on board right now, so while he's here, he doesn't have to remobilize, save money. I'd like to move forward with the bill out on the south end of the second floor.
Smith?
Cost.
I don't know yet. That's why I'm asking you guys for me to move forward. All I have is drawing. We did send this to the architect. The architect is looking at it now. I will come back to you guys once I get costs.
You're asking just that you have the ability to go out and get cost.
Yes, ma'am.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to move forward with getting costs for the build-out of the second end of the second floor of 501
South End.
South End. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Thank you. That didn't read right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Number 5, to discuss for possible consideration modification of the economic incentive milestone for J.Z. Russell.
Yes, Madam Chairman, board members, J.Z. Russell been around for a long time. He's one of our clients in the business park right now. We did offer him an incentive back in, I think it's 2012, 2013 guy.
Yes.
He have had a lot of difficulty meeting the demands, the outcome of his contract. I could tell you that James have worked real hard to try to put Port Arthur folks to work, and I asked Crystal to give you guys some of the reasoning. Let me go back and tell you guys who doesn't know, because all you guys are new. J.Z. Russell is a pipe inspector. They do radiologists on the pipe, go find the leaks, go find the holes, and that's what they do. And it's very costly to train those folks, because I think they have to send them to Houston to train, right? And James is behind on his milestones, but James has worked real hard, and what we recommending you guys to make some modifications to their contract, and I'm going to let Crystal explain this since she worked with those folks every day.
Good evening, Board. You should have a copy of J.Z. Russell's milestones in your packet, and you'll see from those milestones that they have to reach a certain amount of payroll. Well, it's by the end of their contract. We create these milestones to kind of keep them on track, to give them a goal per year. At the end of their contract, they should achieve a certain amount, which you will see there at the bottom of the December 13, 2019. Now, their contract actually goes through 2020. December 18th, we asked them to have met that payroll requirement and maintain it for the additional 2 years. Now, as Mr. Baptiste says, J.Z. Russell did come in. They anticipated a lot more contracts than what they've been able to achieve here in this area, and we are seeing that amongst a lot of contractors and companies in this area. They're not able to secure those contracts with the larger industries because they're going out and pulling them from Houston and other areas. So they have been working very hard with us. They work with the workforce. They've also pulled from life skills. So they are doing their best in trying to pull Port Arthur residents and put them to work. And you will see in this handout that I just handed out to you, that identifies the payroll that they've been able to achieve per year. Down at the bottom, you'll see that they receive $1 credit for every $5.10 that they achieve in payroll towards their contract amount. So you can see what they've paid out so far since the inception of their agreement in payroll and the credits they've achieved. Now, again, J.Z. Russell is falling a little short to where we'd like them to be towards their end of the contract. In December 2018, if they go with their history that they've been able to earn, they won't be able to make that. So we are asking that you all allow them to continue receiving credits until the end of 2020, which is the end of their contract, and rather than the end of 2018.
In the second modification, or the first modification, we extended their contract, and what we said in that contract is that you're going to have to maintain this payroll for 2 additional years. Because of economic conditions for it, James, and what we're asking is not only for them to maintain their payroll for the next 2 years, but for us to give them credit toward the payroll that they pay to Port Arthur residents. They were not getting any credit for the payroll in the last 2 years. They were only maintaining. We're asking you guys to give them credit. And the reason being, guys, is, you know, our goal is to work with our clients. And we want, if they are successful, so are we, because everything that they do is done for a Port Arthur resident. So what we're asking you guys is for those 2 extension, we're not going past the 220, we're just saying we would like to give them credit for the payroll that they provide to Port Arthur residents.
I had a question. So the indicator is that the business is not doing as well as they had hoped it should, and that's the reason they can't meet payroll?
It didn't grow as large, I believe, as the original business plan projected.
Right. And not only that, Commissioner Gilroy, the other thing, a lot of these companies, they have national contracts. And James is getting in, but he's not getting as much as he could get. You know, they have national companies that does things for them all over. And James is, I guess he's getting the crumbs. And he thought because he was local, when he originally came to us, he thought because he was local, he was going to get much more of this work. He's not getting as much. Now James been around 4 or 5 years. He he's been around longer, but he has some credibility out there. People know what he does. And I have a lot of confidence in his company meeting the objectives that we have asked him to meet.
So does it?
I'm sorry.
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
So does he need assistance in negotiating contracts?
No.
Or become eligible for those contracts? I mean,
No.
there's got to be a reason, a place where we can actually help him.
His business is doing good, but it's not doing good for Port Arthur residents because most of Port Arthur residents he's doing a lot of work in Louisiana. He's doing a lot of work in Lake Charles and Baton Rouge. It's here. And you could see a lot of the people here, transportation was a problem. You know, a lot of the problem was local folks couldn't meet his objective, you know, couldn't move around like he needed them to.
So how many employees does he currently have?
Currently, I want to say it's about 12 to 15. Ms. Holmes, I don't have an accurate number for you, but it's right around that, approximately 12 to 15. Port Arthur residents. No, that's just Port Arthur residents.
Including Port Arthur residents and non-Port Arthur residents, how many employees does he have?
We just look at Port Arthur because
our
payroll is strictly Port Arthur. Yes, sir.
So, and that's located here in the business park. Those 12 to 15 employees are located here in the park.
And I could say this, Mr. Marks, is that, and Crystal could vouch for me, I hope, that when James have a job opening, we are the first people he calls.
One other question. The jobs that he has set up, or they require specific type training, don't they?
Yes, sir.
As far as pipe inspection.
Yes,
so
sir.
There is some pretty extensive training that they have to go through.
Yes, sir.
And just looking at this information, is this the information that was provided as far as all these? Is this Port Arthur residents that we're looking at
That is
here?
only Port Arthur residents that you're looking at.
Okay.
So
It would be very interesting to see what overall we're looking at. I realize we're just looking at Port Arthur, but to make a comprehensive decision in the future, I would like to see a comprehensive report. I mean, because if he is going to employ 100 people and only 12 came from Port Arthur, then that's not significant to me. But now if he has 15 and 12 come from Port Arthur, that's a difference. And I understand how we make our decisions, and I understand what we're looking at. But if we're talking about comparatively, I think we need to be looking at holistically what
how many people he has in the business, because we only get reports about Port Arthur, but then maybe we need to be identifying what we need to do differently in Port Arthur. Yes, sir.
With our clients, we have what we call a first source of referrals. And what Crystal does, as some of you heard before, we have access to the Texas Workforce Database. And when those folks have a job opening, they will tell Crystal, I have 1 job open or 2 job openings, send me 5 or 6 folks. And she go in that system, she pull, and she refer. And once she refer, they have to tell us what's going on. You know, they have to use, before they could go out, but, you know, but I guess we would have to, I'm trying to deal with your question, Ms. Holmes. We don't normally ask for outside payroll other than Port Arthur payroll. You know, we could ask them how many numbers of people, but we have documents. When we look at Port Arthur, we have documents to show Port Arthur. We have not requested documents for anyone outside of Port Arthur.
And I can ask them for just numbers, strictly numbers, you know, because like Mr. Baptiste says, we can't really ask for those payroll records for the others outside of Port Arthur, but we can definitely try to get them to at least give us an overall number of their employment. That way you can have something.
I was
to
speaking
look
of
at.
ratios of employment.
Right.
What exactly does he want us to give him?
If you look at his milestone, his milestones say in 2018 and 2019, he has to maintain a payroll of $315,000 for Port Arthur resident. He's not asking to change that. Well, we trying to help him meet his obligation. We said, let's give him credit for the payroll that he's going to pay. He's still going to have to meet the payroll. We just want to give him credit toward the incentive that he received from us.
Gotcha.
So is there a report, because what you provided us with, I like to look at the employee turnover, the percent of those that he hired in Port Arthur. I like to see those that have stayed with him and for how long, because it appears, I don't know if there's any dates that could be assessed to this, but this is a lengthy report for an employee turnover. Recognize those people. Then you got to look at those that were not hired and the reasons that were given. So it'd be something to look at, because it's got to be, it has to be a reason why the people of Port Arthur are not working out. And that could also have a direct effect on his business, why he's not able to maintain the necessary sales and inspections and all that he has to do. So maybe we need to look at that. Maybe Texas Workforce Commission is not screening the prospects as well as they should. That may also be part of his problem, because can you tell me, by looking at this list, is this a list for the last 2 years or the list for the last 4 years?
The list that I provided you with is a list over the entire contract period.
So it'll be the list of the last 3 since the 14?
Correct. Now, I will tell you, most of what they hire for are NDE assistants, which are very entry level. They don't require them to have any experience. They just require they have a TWIC card. They have to pass a drug screen and background check. But as long as they have all of that cleared, they train them. So there's not much that they require. You can pretty much come with no experience, and they're willing to train.
Any other questions? May I have a motion, please?
Maybe we modify the contract.
It's a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second to modify the contract for J.Z. Russell for an additional two years?
Yes, ma'am.
For an additional 2 years. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Reports, marketing, and business.
I think Renata had a doctor's appointment. Crystal, you have anything else on your operation?
I just have a few things for you. Of course, I mentioned to you last time the lease space on the third floor is complete. We did sign the contract with the lease agreement for one company. Tonight, Ms. Ingrid was able to meet with her, and they should be moving in soon. We do have a lot of interested people in wanting to lease space in this building. So hopefully once we get that second floor, you know, if you all are willing, that'd be, you know, more tenants in this building. Now, we provided you something tonight for a ribbon cutting. Lamar State College is having their ribbon cutting for the Sheila Umphrey Center. It's a technical. They're going to be doing a lot of training there. So if you all can attend, that'd be great. We can work hand in hand with Lamar in providing more training to Port Arthur residents. I wanted to give you all a little update on Conduent. We did put this out there constantly. We did a lot of marketing for Conduent, and as of this point, they were able to hire 4 Port Arthur residents. They had, I want to say, maybe 30 that had applied. 4 of those were able to secure a position with Conduent. So that's just to give you an idea of where that stands. Now, as far as any funding from EDC, we did provide them with an on-the-job training contract, which is on a reimbursement basis. So they only get training reimbursement at 50% for those that they hired and trained. So at this point, there's 4 people working for Conduent from Port Arthur. Tyco Willfire did provide us this month with a little update as to their operations in the business park. They did state business has been steady, but they are relatively slow since their peak in 2014. They are going through a merger right now with Johnson Controls, so soon you'll see a new sign out there with Johnson Controls, and hopefully things will pick back up for them once that merger is complete. Okay, any questions?
I had a question. Going back to Conduit, you say out of 30 people, they only hired 4?
Yes, sir. Only 4.
They had 30 positions?
No, 30 Port Arthur residents that applied.
Do you know how many they hired on them?
Out of those 30 Port Arthur residents that applied, 4 were able to...
I know, but the total that they hired for...
Out of the whole area, no, I couldn't tell you that. Again, you know, we kind of just request information on Port Arthur residents, but that is something I can ask them and try to get for you.
So when we give them monies for training, we give them monies for Port Arthur residents?
Correct.
Okay.
So I would just like to reiterate, it would be very helpful to me that if we knew how many jobs were available, some other kind of report, so we would know what we were looking at. I know we can't get their payroll, and it's just to know what percentage, because out of 30 people, only 4 were hired, and then we look at the situation with J.Z. Russell, it concerns me. We need to look at something in our community, if it's building people, building job skill development, doing something additionally, because we're trying to really support and promote hiring Port Arthur, but there's something that we're not able to do that. So maybe if we had some idea of what some of the reasons were people just not qualified? Did they not have this something? Because I think as this EDC looks, and as City Council and the city of and the school district look at how we're preparing people, we're encouraging people to be hired in Port Arthur, but we can't seem to employ them. So we need to look at what we need. That's just my thoughts on that. Any other?
Madam Chairman, I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
respond. I think that's, you said it the way it should be said, but it takes the village now, and we just won. It take all of us.
That was my point.
I will tell you, we have some severe problems here. And how do we fix it? How do we answer it? How do we deal with it? It takes all of us, not just EDC. It is, I'm in this business, and it is tough.
That's why, my point exactly. I think the school district and the city of Port Arthur and any other large employer in this area, particularly outside of the refineries, need to be working together to look at what we need to do to move this community forward. Because if we are pushing and saying we want to hire Port Arthur, then we need to have Port Arthur people ready to be employed.
And if I might say something here, we actually have a training program or a partnership with, is it Gyro World, or that for training for life skills, job training, those type things. And looking at this list, there are some simple things here that should be covered in the type training that we're funding through the church. So again, if we're going to make a positive impact in this community for our residents, then we need to, not just us, but the entire community, we have to make sure that those people who are unemployed and want to be employed take advantage of these training opportunities that are being provided for them at no charge.
I think just to summarize this, that I think that this board is certainly ready to work with the school district, to work with the city of Port Arthur, because like you said, it takes a village. And right now, our village is not working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Financial report.
Madam Chairman, Rachel is out training again this week, and only thing I will tell you guys, back to the financial statement, if y'all want to pull it up again. If you look at the very next to last column, you can see we have about, what month are we in? August. We got August and September, and see there's money in development, there's money in the business park, and that's 4B money, but a few dollars in job training. But I think staff have done an excellent job in managing this budget this year. Nothing else on the budget.
Any other questions about the budget? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Baptiste. I agree. You guys do a great job with managing the money. CEO report.
I have no. The only thing Guy submitted to me, we gave to you guys a news release that you guys need to be made aware about. Guy, you want to say anything special about it?
Well, I just sent some information along that the Judge Brannick passed along Friday to a group of Jefferson County representatives just discussing the compromised flood wall as part of the Alligator Bayou program near Taylor Bayou. This is across from Valero. Probably seen something in the news about it. And just bringing this up because this is going to be a significant cost, and sadly, I don't think our friends at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is kind of, as Judge Brannick said, always said that nothing could be done with that structure flood wall without their consent, equating it to their control and ownership. But now that there's a breach in it, it seems that it's a matter for local jurisdictions to fund. So I think Judge Brannick, working with members of the Commissioner's Court, certainly Commissioner Senegal, and members of Drainage District 7, along with the county and others, are trying to work real promptly and are having regular calls. We just wanted to bring this to the attention of the board because it does have such a significant impact, on the community of Port Arthur.
being no other business, we'll move to executive session. A closed meeting or executive session will be held in pursuant with the following sections. Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, to discuss with Attorney Guy Goodson pending and potential litigation, climate control containers, AG Opinion 1050. Section 551.072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, value of property. Section 551.087, to discuss incentives for commercial and/or industrial business perspectives. At this time, we'll adjourn to executive session at 6:55. That's for me.
What about this?
That's fine. That's what I just, that was what I kept. That's what I said.
Wife goes to that third year that put in play, and of course she always gets the trophy. We don't get nothing because people beat us all the time. She always gets the trophy because the #1 woman shooter. She actually had another woman competitor, but she won the trophy. She shot 49 out of 60.
That's a master class.
I shot 47.
I was going to ask you, what did you think about that?
Here.
What do you think of that?
A handful. When we did the
2 bottles of wine up here.
all those go in. That was,
See how many you can shoot.
yeah, see, I
before
mean,
you get
you
it.
can add to your score. You know, it's like buying a mulligan, but it's a flurry, you know, that kind of.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun to shoot. I love that.
You talk about the surfacing, but you forgot the Dana side. Remember on the Dana on the other side? Yeah, yeah. Leo and Sam and Jimmy.
So what's the oldest one? What's Leo and Jason?
Played with them when I was a kid. They lived on Threadneedle Street.
Sam, Big
No, Sam's the oldest.
Sam.
Yeah, Jimmy's next and Leo's youngest. And then Cherby, I don't know.
Sam
I
lives
don't
in
know when
Houston.
Cherby.
Ready to get started?
Sam lives in Houston.
I'll lose track of it. Sir? What?
I just called the meeting to order.
Oh, here, yeah, I'm here. John, yes.
Here.
Here. Mr. Keenan, here. Mr. Smith, here.
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 Thank you. This time, we'd like to go back to the agenda item that we moved to executive session to discuss for possible consideration entering into an economic incentive and loan agreement with KLV Ventures.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, I recommend that you guys enter into an economic incentive agreement with KLV Venture with the recommended incentive of $326,503, and also a loan agreement for about, I think it's $190,000 for the property on 73, Highway 73.
Is it 197?
Yes, ma'am.
And for the benefit of the board, and thank you, Mr. Baptiste, that would be the incentive agreement, if approved by the board, would be collateralized by equipment that would be acquired by the incentive recipient. And then on the land, it would be securitized by the property I think the incentive applicant has indicated they intend to build a permanent structure in there, and so it would have some language as we do. That one doesn't have the same restrictive covenants as we have in the business parks, and so it would have, though, a similar covenant that he is planning on making some improvements, but that if there's not a permanent structure constructed in a certain period of time after closing, then the EDC has the right to a repurchase, because the intention has always been to put permanent businesses there. But we will work, if you approve this, with the incentive recipient to make sure those terms and conditions are amenable to both parties.
Board, you've heard the recommendation of the executive director. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries.
Congratulations, Fred.
Okay, at this time,
Chairman and board members, I'd just like to say, I've been working here for 12 years, and this young man is very persistent, and, you know, we started off on a rocky boat, but I think you understand how we do business better today than yesterday, and I think he's going to be a success. Thank you, sir.
any other comments? Questions? There being no further business, we adjourn the meeting.
Tell your daddy we missed him today, Fred. Tell your daddy we missed him today.
Oh, they want to vote on the motion?